Okay, okay, we got some sound good. So we are recording this. Now, let me go ahead and get us started. We should have quite a few people who showing up here pretty quickly. And we'll talk some. And since I'm recording this now, let me, and I'll just note this for the few of you and those who could come in later. I'd gotten an email about how I handle this class, this type of class, a 3-hour, in terms of a hybrid format. Here is what I do. First of all, we have to have 150 minutes of instruction for the course. Showing up there. Okay, good. And that assumes, like tonight in a 3-hour course, which is 180 minutes, you're supposed to have 30 minutes of break. So here's what I do. I figure that we get the 150 minutes, and I will go from 6 till 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock at the latest, okay? And that's the ground-based part when people are here. And then over the weekend or the week before class, I do a screencast, and I post it as a part 2. Am I making sense? That way I chunk it out, and you're not dead in your feet at 9 o'clock at night here trying to learn some of this. So I chunk it kind of in half, and that way we'll have the recording tonight of this session, which is the ground-based part, and then I'll have a virtual part for you where I'll post a screencast, and then you can go take a look at it before the next class. Now, let me go into the announcements here, and I want to show you guys and those who might join, or at a point when you might. If you can't be here, all right, because I have the screencast, you can always see it, because what I'll do is I'll take this video I'm making, I'll convert it to a YouTube video, I'll post it, and then I'll put it back over here in the announcements area so you can see. And so you can see the screencast for this part. And then obviously I want you to see that before the next class. So if you can't make it and you have access to a machine, a phone, or anything, you can see it. And that, in my mind, you're still here. You may be somewhere else, but at least you're here. And I know who's participating because I'll be able to see this up here. Okay? Now, the instructions are all here, which shows you how to access this using a PC, a Linux, anything. And you have the meeting number, you have a phone number to call, and all of that. Those are all free, so you can go to the meeting. If you're here, it's not a big deal. I'm recording the meeting. If you're not here, then you would use this. You'd use this virtual room invitation. Otherwise, tonight's video, when I'm finished, I'll process it, post it at YouTube, take the link, feed it in over here into this announcement area, so you can see tonight's video. And then over the weekend, like I said, or sometime between now and next week, I'll do part 2. Now, since I'm recording this, I'm okay with not a lot of people being here, but here's the deal. How do you handle these? Okay. When you watch these videos, it's my recommendation you take them in chunks, okay? You can watch 20 minutes and stop, or you can watch the whole thing through. The other nice thing is that once these are loaded at YouTube, you should be able to access a transcript, a written summary, or a written summary of what we did in class, and it will even give you the minute-by-minute account. Now, that's good for you if you say, okay, I can read faster than I can listen, which is true. And it also gives you the advantage of having that as kind of a cheat sheet or a crib note or something, because what we're going to do here in the class sessions is going to be like workshops. And what I do is I try to focus on skill building stuff using Excel, using Access, etc. See, we got someone who joined us here. okay? And hi, let's see who joined us. Okay, hi there, good to see you. And what you'll be able to do is to take a look at that video and see what we were doing, and you'll have a transcript, and you can play that video or that section you might not understand as much as you want. But I use the class time to focus on doing the kinds of thing with Excel and with Access, which was what we'll be working with, that get us ready to do some work with the exams and the finals. All of my exams have two parts. One is a content.
Oh, you said something.
Hello? Yes? Do you have a question?
Yes,
Did you have a question?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Did you have a question?
Do we have class?
I'm sorry, you have what?
Class?
Yes. You can, and you're in class. So let's go ahead and put, yes, go ahead.
What? I'm so confused. Are we meant to meet into a classroom or no?
Okay, yeah, that's what I was explaining. Let me run back. The ground-based portion of the course is when we meet from 6 o'clock till about 7:30 or 8 o'clock, okay? Now, the virtual part is when between now and next week, I will post a second recording, and that'll be part 2. And it's your responsibility to see that part 2 sometime between tonight and next week when class starts. Now, if you can physically be in the classroom, that's fine. If you can't, you can always join the class like you have and listen to the screencast. And then when you're finished, when we're finished, I take the screencast and record it. I take that and convert it to a YouTube video.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay. Now do me a favor, if you would, if you don't have any other questions, do this. I'm gonna put you on mute. And so if you have a question, I believe there's a way you can flag me over here. You should be able to. Okay? All righty. Oh, okay. All right, good. Okay, so is everybody clear about how I'm going to handle things? Okay. All right. From 6 to 7:30 is our ground-based time. Now, I'm recording the video. I'm doing a screencast and I record this and I'll convert it to a YouTube video. And then later on, I'll post it. Now, I'm going to only go from 6 to 7:30, okay, because that's roughly 75 to 90 minutes of class time. We have to do 150 a week. With me so far? So how do I get the remainder of that class time? Well, what I do is the virtual portion of this, since it's a hybrid course, is over the weekend or sometime between now and next week, I will post a second screencast, okay? Like a part 1, part 2. Now, what I do in these screencasts is this. Primarily, I talk about, okay, what we've got going ahead. I'll cover some logistical types of things going on. I will cover cases that are workshops. Now, if you just simply turn the case in on time, you get credit for it. But it's not as easy as it sounds, because the workshops that we'll do, we'll work with Excel, and then later on we'll work with Access. We'll be doing things that you're going to need to be able to do when we hit the exams. And then I also have a project for you. That makes sense? Okay, so I'm not going to, so to make it as active a learning experience as possible, I'm focusing on how we're going to use Excel, why we use it, and the same thing with Access. This course is called Business Problem Analysis because we take some very classic or typical business problems and we say, okay, how do I take these tools that I have, gather some data, and create some type of presentation that allows me to make a decision about the situation I'm in. The way we teach this course is very different. And the reason that you have these technology courses is so that you understand why you use these, okay, how you use them, and that you have to look at these like you're learning how to drive. Once you've learned how to drive, you can drive any type of car. Now, if you know how to drive a standard transmission, then you could drive any vehicle that has a standard transmission. I assume you all know the difference, right? And once you've learned there's a brake pedal, there's gears, there's mirrors, you're good to go. Will you ever drive a Ferrari? Will you drive an Indy 500 vehicle? That will be up to you and your skill sets and your passion, your interests. But what I want to be able to do is lay the foundation for you, so that when you're out in the work world and your company or your employee says, okay, well, here's a new type of spreadsheet system we're going to use. You're not completely discombobulated because you understand what they're about. Okay? Same thing with databases. And all of these technologies are designed to make you a better decision maker. And one of the challenges that we face in business is that we have so much data, we don't know what to do with it. We generate every 2 to 3 years now as much data as was produced in the history of the world. That's hard to understand. If you want to kind of put it in perspective, the next time you go to weather.com or you watch the weather, or you see a forecast, a live forecast, for example, or there's a storm or whatever, understand that the people who are dealing with that information, showing you where they rain's the heaviest. Here's an inflow and an outflow. Looks like a tornado's on the way. Here's the hook echo. They're dealing with trillions upon trillions of pieces of data. That's because the National Weather Service down in Norman has supercomputers and links to those that can handle all that data and make predictions about wind speed, temperature, etc. It's the same for us in business, but just on a smaller scale. We have more data than we've ever known, but data is fine if it produces information, and data only becomes information if it's something I can use to make a decision. Okay? So I look at this essentially from the perspective of the decision maker. And we'll talk a whole lot about that in the class, but we'll look at some fairly simple typical business problems, and how do I visualize that, okay? A good example of this, and I don't know how many of you are baseball fans. Amazon, we've all heard of. We can go over there and buy stuff from them. But what a lot of people don't know is that the most valuable part of Amazon is Amazon Web Services, AWS. Governments, large corporations, all kinds of people rent their server space and rent their application because it's the best in the world outside of maybe, I'd say it's the best world outside of maybe Walmart. Who else? Gosh, I don't know. The Amazon Web Service, it's a tremendous application, and it can tell you all kinds of things about what people are doing. Well, folks like in Major League Baseball have decided that to make home runs more exciting, because viewership is a lot of, how many of you watch Major League Baseball on a regular business? Okay, I see a few sparing your hands. You and Grandpa go to the game, and everybody else is watching soccer, dirty movies, or whatever it is you people do. Okay, instead of watching the game that God invented. Grass, sky, sand, it's baseball. But what they do now to make a home run more exciting, and you've probably seen this if you've watched, is they'll show the trajectory of the ball. They'll base the distance that the ball traveled on a home run using bat speed, wind speed, and all this stuff. And they'll give you a little arc and show you, oh, it was 450 feet. Oh, it was 500 feet. Used to be people eyeballed it. Now they don't. And that's an incredible, when you see things like graphics, they'll show you, well, here's the spray chart where they hit the ball, what part of the field, same type of thing. And to pull that all up, and if you listen to announcers today, they say, he's he against left-hand pitchers from Korea, he's batting 188 with 6 home runs. You go, where do they get this stuff? They just dream it up? No, it just pops up on their machine and feeds them as they do color commentary. So databases are tremendous tools. Spreadsheets are the same kind of thing. Early on in my career, excuse me, I worked with a firm that did mergers and acquisitions, and we were the cash flow people. We tried to figure out, okay, if this firm acquires the other, or if the two of them go together, does it make sense? Is there what we would call a synergy there? And so it would take us about 5 to 6 months to generate the projections. If this happens, or this scenario occurs, or the economy looks like this, or your interest rate is like this, or your collections are like this, here's what you get. And if we came up with a half a dozen, we were lucky. Then along came Excel. And with Excel, we could simulate the numbers. And by the time I left, we could give a client a simulation figures based on 5 to 10,000 simulations. So their decision-making was much more informed, okay? And we'll talk some about decision-making here. Well, that being said, I want to take a few minutes and kind of walk us through Canvas so we can kind of do a little walkthrough and see how it's all put together. Now, obviously, this is the home over here, okay? Click on that. And then I have some announcements. And those announcements of the virtual office hours, while I'm at it, I do keep virtual office hours. And what that means is I might be here, I might be in Oklahoma City. It just depends. But I'm there, and you can come in. I have a link, an invitation there. So if you want to, you can come in, hit the link, come into the virtual office. I can help you with just about anything because everything's online. You need help with figuring out your schedule, that's fine, whatever. Now I keep all those files private because it's your business. And I've found over time, more and more students are going, I'm going to quit trying to find him over here. And I'll just simply, when he's got these office hours announced, I'll track him. I'll converse with him. Typically through the week, I have about 20 to 30 hours of office hours. Okay, a little bit different than you can find me at 11:38 to 11:39 here on Tuesdays when there's a full moon. And if you've gone and you've seen enough doorways, not just here but everywhere, you'll see a lot of those. But you'll be able to reach me. Today, for example, I was here in the office when I finished my class at 2 o'clock at 1:45, and I was here till tonight till 6. I'm here now. So those are days. Mondays, you'll see that my office hours for those. And what I will typically do is I will send you, or I will post in office hours what's happening that week. Okay? And so if you're wanting to know what's going on, now like Monday, for example, I'm blitzed out of the water because I got to go to a doctor's appointment. Just like you say, on Monday, I've got a track meet. What do I do? What I will do is over the weekend for the people who take Monday classes, I'm going to have some screencasts pre-recorded for them, okay? So I won't ever waste your time with, you come in and Professor so-and-so has gone to a conference and you get a week of testing and somebody babysitting you. Total waste of your time, which is, taking a test is fine, but my tests are set up that you could take them outside of class. In fact, this course is set up that if you manage your time You can do very well in the course. You can make it as convenient as you want. And that's one of the things that I want to impress on you, is that this course is easy, but it's difficult. It's difficult in the sense that there will be a point in the course where I'll turn you listen and go, there's no class at all. Here's your projects. You got to get them finished. The exams that are due, the assignments that are due, they're due. Right? I'm going to treat you like adults. And, you know, this is one of these ways for you to find out, am I really ready to go to work? Am I really ready to make a contribution? Can I manage my time? Can I work independently? I talk with people all the time that are headhunters and folks like that, and I'll ask them, what are you really, what's the bottom line? What's the bottom on this thing? Because we all know the ceiling in terms of what you're after for employees, and most of the time they'll tell me, if they just show up and not steal from me, we're in good shape. The world belongs to those who who do their homework, okay? And so I would encourage you to take advantage of this course to hone your ability to be able to work as an independent learner. And I know that going from this type of environment, it's different. Maybe some of you might have done virtual high school. I don't know. But I can tell you now, when you go out in the corporate world, you'll probably, if you go work for a large company, will be working with people who are strung across the globe in all kinds of time zones and situations. You may even yourself go work for somebody who says, just stay where you are. We don't have the housing available for you. A lot of the people that work for Google, that work for Facebook, all the Silicon Valley people, everybody, I would say probably from about 2006 or 7 on, don't live out there. They can't afford it. Houses are too expensive. Apartments are too expensive. So they stay out wherever they graduated from school, or they go somewhere where they want to go and they work online. So this is a way to also get you acclimated for that. Do I sound like a madman? Okay. So none of you believe that at this point I need any medicinal marijuana. Okay. I was going to vote on that, but I forgot. That's rough. No, I'm kidding you. One thing you'll understand is I make some kind of crazy jokes. Don't take it seriously. All right, please don't. Don't go out here and write, "Dear Dr. Whitlock, there's a madman in our." He's gotten all those emails and letters. He's not listening. He's waiting for me to die. All right, here we go. So we got some announcements. See those? That's it. And then we have an assignment section. And this will list everything that you have to upload or do that's not a quiz. Okay? You're going to see some things. You may indeed, yeah. Okay, yeah. This one, for example, this is whited out because it's for my eyes only. So when we're working in here and I'm in instructor screen, you may see some stuff. You go, oh, what's this? And that's the reason the gray part, that whiteout part, is just simply I've hidden it from your view, but I show it to you here anyway. But you won't see it when you come in. Maybe you do. I don't know. Let's look at another important part of this and look at files. Okay. This has everything you're going to need for the course, files for cases. The syllabus is in here, information about what to do in case of a final, all of that type of stuff. So it's here for you, and typically it's a lot easier for you to come over and do a search in that search bar and get the document that you need than to try to putz around and find it somewhere, okay? So you can see, and these are all the files for the course. So it just becomes a matter of looking for them alphabetically. All right? Now, here's a thing called a syllabus in Canvas. typically what people do, and this is just a default kind of blurb, okay, this will show you typically the course of just what usually people do is and I've left it blank, is they'll put just the course description or something like that, just a short blurb, and then this lists all of the assignments by when they're due, okay? So that's one way to, if you say, okay, what's due this week, you can go back, you can go see it. Well, the heart of all of this, and here are the quizzes. This shows you all the quizzes that we'll be doing. By the way, the quizzes are open book, open note. You can take them whenever you want to up to the point they're due. If you don't complete them when they're due, then you've lost an opportunity. My grading as far as late policy is this: the first time you're late, it's 50%. From then on, it's a 0. You really shouldn't be turning in late work in this class, okay? If you have extenuating circumstances, okay, or $3,000, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. If you have extenuating circumstances, I'm willing to hear them. And if I see that, okay, it's fine. But don't come to me at the end of the semester, as I had someone do last spring, with 12 assignments they decided to do all at once. Because the course, if I could do that, if the university knew that I could teach this course in 4 weeks, we'd do it 4 times at $1,500 a person or whatever you pay. I don't know. Do you have any idea what it costs you per course now? $550 a course? 5 credit hours is $550. Okay. Yeah. So this will put in perspective for you. When I came here, yes, I was a student here. Long ago, my room, board, tuition, books, everything was $2,000. And my parents thought it was highway robbery. But the university had to charge more. They had just gotten electricity and running water, and they had gotten rid of the outhouse. So the place had become a little more classy. And you saw it. I understand what you're going through. You guys, none of you are freshmen, are you? How many freshmen have we got here? And so you're done with the beanies and all that? That's strange stuff. Okay, man. Well, best of luck on that one. And from time to time, I'll tell you some stories, and these are stories of events that other people have done, not me. Okay, so I want you to understand that. Now, this is what we call the welcome module, and I have everything over here you could possibly want to see. And need. You're going to see some files that we'll be using, and you'll see some times when maybe we'll stop, and I'll say, okay, we're going to stop at this point and we'll save the file. Now, typically what we'll do is we'll work through a case, and when the case is ready, okay, I tell you, all right, download the file that we've been working on, or if it should be on your desktop in the first place, upload it where I tell you to. And that way I know that you've participated. They said, how do you know I didn't just do it the next day? I know because I am the all-seeing, omniscient Oz. Because God lets me see everything you do. And it's ugly. That's not true. The LMS will let you. My day, we didn't have cell phones. Mama couldn't track me. And it's a miracle I'm alive. Your mom's not, how many of you, maybe I'd be ashamed to admit it too. Mom and dad have a phone they gave you, but secretly they record everywhere you go and what you say. Okay, good for you. Hope you're safe. My parents, I don't know how I lived without all this stuff like, baby things they write in so the kid doesn't get killed in a car wreck and all this junk, and child-friendly caps and everything. I don't know. Maybe I'm like him because I chugged too many aspirins when I was 8. Who knows? But you can see these files, and I'll refer to them from time to time. So this is week 0. This is kind of an orientation of this. Let's pop this down and let's look at week. Well, this is the welcome part. Here's week 0. Now, each week when you see these items, this is a lot like it's a lot like if you want, for want of a better term, a course outline or an outline for what we're going to do that day. All right. And we're going to look at, and the first thing we're going to do next week is we're going to do it this week is we're going to look at we're doing the course intro, and then I will do the XLS3 preview, and I'll show you a really outstanding example of a spreadsheet that also performs a database function. And then there are no assignments due, okay? But I'm going to ask you to look at these different materials that I've got here for you. And for example, you see the resources for quizzes and exams, the point distribution, and again, familiarizing yourself with the course, what we're doing in here. And so for all intents and purposes, I'll probably focus a lot on XLS3, that preview, because this stuff you can read and see. All right, makes sense so far? Okay. The next week, week 1, and you'll see, I say, okay, upload XLSX1 here. Okay, so we're our first access case. That's where you'll upload it. How many of you worked in Canvas before? Okay, so you're comfortable knowing how to upload your work and all that business. Okay. Now, there's also a financial ratios quiz, and you say, how would I find out the information for that? Well, the financial ratio quiz, I have materials up here, the resources for them, and it will tell you where to find that data. Got it? So we're going to have a short quiz. You'll have a quiz on financial ratios. And as I said before, this is open book, open note. And if you want to see, let's take a look for a moment and click on that quiz, and we should get some more information about it. Okay, it's 50 points, and you've got 20 minutes. You've got multiple attempts. All right. And I'm just going to see how this goes. Well, no, you have 2 attempts, 20 minutes, and that means you need to study the materials over here that cover financial ratios. And I've got materials here. You can also go out to the internet and find some of that stuff as well. Okay? So that's why I don't get all hepped up about watching you to see if you went on. I don't lock down your browser or any of that stuff. When you're at work, you'll probably go to somebody and go, I don't understand this, explain it to me. They don't do tests at work. The only tests they do are those, did you get it done or not? So if you are smart, you're going to have the attempts and the amount of time. And I think it's maybe, I can preview it for you. It's not that many questions, maybe 10 questions, something like that. Oh, no, it's got how many items? I've got 10 items. Okay? But you have 20 minutes to get it finished. So I would make sure that I had all of that material ready to go. Okay. Also have a quiz on break-even analysis, economic order quantity. And then I have some text, I have some quizzes out of our different textbooks. Now, let's see who just joined us. Okay. Oh, okay, good. Glad to have you here. Mute your machine. The nice thing is now, you can add, when you look at the invitation over there for these meetings, you'll see that you can access it with a variety of technology platforms, phone, iPad, whatever. Now, let's go for a moment and go back into this announcements area. Let's go to the file, and we're going to talk about the books that we've got in the course. Okay. And so I'm going to do a syllabus. And here's the syllabus for fall. And I'm going to come down here. And here are the textbooks. Now I'm going to zoom this up just a hair. Now, at the end of this, what I've done with this syllabus is I've also just simply did a print screen of this of the modules, and then these are the point distributions. That's covered in here. And then some information about late work, the grading scale, that type of business. There's 1,000 points. All types of the usual stuff you find in the syllabus, and here's my class schedule, and here's my bio. That's the selfie I took with Freddy Krueger. We're like that. Anybody ever heard of Nightmare on Elm Street? Okay. Yeah, he came by my office one day, and how many of you knew that Freddy Krueger is an OBU grad? That's just not true. Not true at all. But that's nice, isn't it? Me and my bro, we got a bromance going on there. We got the spindly thing on my arm. I mean, we're feeling good. We're feeling it, as they say. So a little bit of information about me. All righty. So the point distribution, I'll go back to it for just a moment. You've got the 13 XLS cases, access cases, 130 points. You've got 6 access cases, the financial ratio quiz, quizzes from the few texts. And I want to talk about that for just a moment. The text by Stephen Few. Now, I'm going to go out to Amazon for just a moment, and I'm going to find that textbook. And I think it's Show Me the Numbers. One of the things that we will emphasize here is the visual display of data. And this is one of the texts. All right. So that's this textbook is the gold standard. It's the Bible on how to take data and present them in a chart or a display. If you go to the trouble of collecting a bunch of data, okay, and then you don't present it well, the story you're trying to tell or the decision you're trying to elicit won't happen because you didn't provide them with something that was clear and easy to understand. So his textbook is a key part of this course because we talk about utilizing the we put a lot of emphasis on presenting data in a way people can understand. Okay, so that's one of the textbooks here. Pop back here for just a second, and I know this is like drinking out of a fire hydrant. You've been doing this the whole day. And then, let's see, Microsoft, I'm just going to find this. There's the ISBN. Go back over to Amazon. Nice little database, isn't it? Okay. This is Microsoft Excel Data Analysis and Business Modeling, the 5th edition. Okay, that's the textbook we're going to use, and trying to stay true to the spirit of the course. When we learn Excel, we're not going to focus on keystrokes. We're going to focus on, first of all, when I open up that tool, what am I seeing? Just a blank canvas, okay? And then number 2, when I start to put data in there, how do I build a model to just, and then I display the data. And when you open Access up, okay, you'll see that you've got the cells where you can put data, and then you have a formula bar on top. The cells are the display. The formula on the top is what's producing the display. Once you see that, and you see that most databases and spreadsheets are designed around a ribbon and tree environment, when someone says, well, here's Oracle, or here's Crystal Reports, or what else, you get it. You're good. You're cool. It's just a matter of getting your data in and playing around with some of the nuances of that. And you say, okay, what do you mean by the tree and the tree and the ribbon? Well, look at this, okay? And these are all, any one of these I click on will generate a query, what we call a query. We'll ask the database to find something or do something, okay? And then we can even walk it down in a tree. So this book, I think you can look inside it. I'm not sure, but this is one of the other textbooks in the course. Now, the next one is Microsoft Access, and this is the Access textbook. And by the way, I have all the once you have the textbooks, some of the I think this textbook by Winston and the textbook by Lambert and Joyce, Lambert and Cox, I think they have student data files that you can get. And I've put those student data files over in Canvas in the files section, so you shouldn't have any trouble getting those. Now, we'll take this, and we'll go over here to Amazon. We'll take a look at this textbook. And I am sensitive to the cost of these books, so I've tried to keep them down. And here it is, Microsoft Access Step by Step, Access 13. And this is literally what it is. It will show us step-by-step procedures, what we do with the database, how it's put together, etc. Now, again, a database is something I can use to find things, okay? And it's a place I can collect information, and I can drill down, drill across. We're so used to using databases, we're not even it's just we don't even see it, but they're everywhere. And the database also is a business model. And you say, what do you mean? Okay. Well, my wife and I laugh all the time about how our TV viewing habits work. All right. We'll be watching TV and we'll go, oh, there's so-and-so. And my wife and I like to watch a lot of antenna TV, like Grandma watches. Okay, it's got the old shows on it and stuff. And we'll go, oh, is that person dead? That's pretty morbid, isn't it? And we'll go, let's Google them. Okay. How did I live without Google? I don't know. I did. How did I live without cell phones? Well, one thing that happened was my parents didn't catch me in a lot of stuff. So Mom and Daddy now can call you. And if you got them on mute and you go, well, I think the battery ran down. I know, you've given those excuses. I didn't have to do that. If I wanted to call home, I went to a payphone. Have you ever seen a payphone? Your grandkids are going to laugh at you for carrying computers and phones around. They go, why did you carry all that stuff? You just touch the wall over here and it gives you what you want. Or you're wearing the thing. Anybody here got one of those Fit Bites, or what do you call them? Flight Bites? It's Fitbits. How many do you keep track how many steps you make every day?
I mean, that's not for me.
Okay.
It's just like, it will count laps.
Okay. Okay. My wife is into it. I got to do 8,000 steps. I go, okay, do 8,000 steps. Leave me out of it. I want to tell you, let me pass along something to you. As you get older and you get fat, okay, which it will happen to many of you, no matter what you do, it's waiting for you. Just remember this. if there's a nuclear winter, you will live on with your fat cells while the skinny people will be dying, writhing on the ground. So if Kim Jong-un ever lights his birthday candle and somebody retaliates, yeah, I'm going to be living off my fat cells. And y'all will be, and I'll walk by and go, God bless you. It's good to know you. Can I borrow those shoes? That's right. So this is another one of the texts that we've got that we're going to use. All right. Finally, this textbook, Competing on Analytics. This is probably the most important textbook that's been, that's been written about business in the past 25 years. And this is the new edition, okay? And what this book talks about is that today we gain competitive advantage and or comparative advantage using analytics, okay? If you're a sports fan, you're already used to seeing analytics. Yeah. What was their batting average, or how many runs, how many yards a carry did they get, or the passing game, or all that stuff, all the statistics that they're feeding you, okay? When you listen to professional sports broadcasts today, it's a lot different than it was when I was your age. When I was your age, particularly with baseball, the color commentator was really somebody who was saying, in Cleveland, we all got drunk and wrecked the car. There's none of that today. It's all this data and these insights and all these things. So we know that companies that don't understand how important analytics are, they're just not going to be around. I didn't make these rules up, but we use these tools to understand our customer and the environment that we're in and how to deal with them. And I don't know how to put it any more simply. So this text is an important one because he gives you many, many examples. Now, the people who are probably the best at analytics in the world, Amazon certainly is, Google certainly is, Walmart certainly is, probably would be, I'd say Capital One. Any of you ever heard of Capital One? Anybody got the card? Got it in your wallet? I had to have it. It's kept going, what's in your wallet? I'm going, I must have that card. Now, one of the things that they do at Capital One is they run massive experiments. They run about, maybe 1,000 experiments a year, where they'll take an individual market segment, people who fit a certain profile, and say, okay, if we send them cards with a certain fee level and a certain interest rate for certain terms, how many of them will buy? If we take individuals, we send them a card offer, or we contact them and say, it looks like you could stand a healthy raise on your credit card, so we're going to give you a credit limit. Whee! You can borrow more money and more. One key point: I'm not a cybersecurity expert at all, but I do know this: you are the types of people that black web and identity thieves salivate over. You're young and you don't have much of a credit history, and you're easily can have an identity built around you. And that's what those people do. They'll sell the names, 10,000 names, whatever it is, and then they'll take some of that data and they'll build an identity using you, your name, where you live. They'll tweak it a little bit, and then they begin to make purchases. So be careful with your data. Be very careful. If you get something here, we get email, we get phishing, we go phishing here, phishing, about 2 to 3 times a week. And it never ends. There's always somebody who clicks on that link, okay? Or someone who says, well, I got an email from someone in Nigeria, and they told me that if I sent them $50,000, they could free up $25 million to share with me. Have you ever heard one of those? Oh, yeah. And there are people who will give them the money. That's the sad part. And they're embarrassed. I saw a thing on the TV the other night about a lady who had given, I don't know, about $150,000 to one of these types of Nigerian, one of these scams, much less people hacking your account. How many of you think there's a Russian out there watching you tonight? There's probably some, and there's a few people out there who weigh 400 pounds sitting in their bedroom. The web is be very careful with your data. It can be a troublesome place. Well, all that being said, here's the textbook for this, another one of the textbooks, and that pretty much runs us out in terms of those textbooks. Now I have a supplemental website, an old Google page that has some other materials, and you have that one. Now, we no longer use Jupyter grades or Snap grades, so the grade book is for this course is in here. Now, again, I've laid this thing out so that you can learn and you can understand, and you can do so in a way that's not going to skin you alive. I don't believe it's my job to filter and sort all of you. Life will do that sufficiently, okay? I'm more interested in you learning and understanding. If you follow the program I've laid out where you do the cases, you take the quizzes, you should do very well, okay? I don't sit in my office and gleefully try to construct a bell curve. I'm not going to do it. I'm opposed to it. There's a reason why. When you go out to work, your employer really is going to care about one thing: do you perform? So one of the issues that I try to do in encouraging you through this transformational process is, okay, can you trust yourself to manage your time, to look at the video, look at a transcript, okay? Be ready for an exam to take it. Be able to handle the hands-on stuff. And here at a certain point in the course, about 2 or 3 weeks, a couple of weeks near the end, I just simply say, okay, here are the projects, here's the final, here's when they're due, see ya. Call me if you need help. But that's what's going to happen when you go to work. So better you become comfortable with that than not. And that's the hard part of this course, not this other stuff. The self-management part that you have to be able to do. All righty. We've taken a look at that. Let's go back over to the modules. So click on that. Can anybody tell me why they've got all this on the left instead of the right? All these links to things? Venture a guess. It's owned by left-wing Democrats. It's the remnants of Hillary Clinton's email fragments. Why is it over on the left? What do you think? It's over on the left because in our culture, people tend to read from left to right. And so when I talked about this tree aspect, we're going to drill to the modules, because this is like a database. Then we'll drill to the modules, and then we'll drill down to a specific module, okay? And then we'll choose an item within it. Once you understand that, you've got a pretty good insight on how to design something that people will want to take a look at or will understand. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I have Anscombe's dilemma, and I want to show that to you for a minute. Maybe not. I think I have the Anscombe's. Here it is. Scroll down, and in fact, here I was being a dummy. Watch. Find the Anscombe. How many of you knew that Dog Bounty Hunter was an OBU grad? He wasn't. But I've become obsessed with him because I think that's what I should have done for a living. The reason being, I found my parents at least a half a dozen times by the time I was 5. They'd move and I'd find them. I'm pretty proud of that skill. And one of the interesting things, I got kidnapped, and the people who kidnapped me paid my parents to take me back. Now, I attended Bison Hill a long time ago when we had a live bison as our mascot. Not somebody in a costume, God love him, but a real live bison that like had breath coming out of his nostrils, and they kept him over in a pen that's now over in the parking lot over here at Noble. And you could go by and you'd say, "What's happening, bro?" And he'd go, and the people who took care of him are called the Chips. It's one of these great these are things that, you know, my generation of people who let that go are a little embarrassed about. But hey, if they make you do Carib, how strange is that? How many of you know Carib? For me, it was a painful experience and a reminder that people in that age didn't have TV or cable. So they got to do something. I guess that gets you revved up. Anyway, let's take a look for a moment. But we did have a live bison. His name was Belshazzar. And at the basketball games, we'd have a bunch of black smoke, and we'd bring him out, and he'd come into the floor. A real live bison. Why don't you people get him back? We got plenty of room over there. Put him up there and right on the hill. We could have a special place for him by the football field. I don't understand how we can build all these buildings, but not find a tabernacle for Belshazzar. We've lost our way as a people of God. So we need Belshazzar back. Now, this is just strictly between us. When there were big games against opponents, they'd take Belshazzar in his special green and gold trailer, and they would feed him way too much, so that when he made an appearance on the opponent's court, he sent a signal. He made a statement. Far more compelling than stomping on the O at Ohio State or throwing footballs at people's heads. Okay, let's look at Anscombe's quartet. All right, and we'll find him over here. Now I'll do my pen. I'll do Anscombe, because he's got something pretty profound to say to us. Now, here's the 1973 article in the American Statistician. There will be a quiz on it. Kidding you. Here's the point of the article. Mr. Anscombe, he said that with all of our ability now, this is about the time we started to see spreadsheets developed and those types of applications. He said, with all of these abilities, this ability to crunch numbers, we better not lose sight of the fact that figures can lie and liars can figure. And we need to not lose sight of the fact that data tortured sufficiently will confess to anything. And we need to learn how to take all this data and put it into a way that people understand. So he talks about using graphs in statistical analysis. And he provides us a very remarkable example. And what he does is this. He takes us four sets of data. He takes the data points. He computes the summary statistics, the mean, the median, the mode, and they're all the same. Okay? And so if I just have a table of data, I look at that and go, oh. But then he does something quite remarkable. He puts them into graphic form and look at what we see. Here's the scatter plot for the first set. Here's the scatter plot for the second set. So he says we can't trust table data. We have to make sure that we also depict it graphically. These are the same data, but the distribution, the pattern of them looks different than what we're used to seeing. And here are C and D. That's why we have you, I emphasize so much the visual presentation of data so that people can see the story you're trying to tell. Now, I regularly tweet the weatherman in Oklahoma City, and then if you lived in Oklahoma City, you may remember the guy, well, Damien lives out in Moore, who's the guy on Channel 5. That's the ones I deal with the most. Him and Rick, what was the guy's, the meteorologist, he's in Dallas now. I tweet and all this business and talk to him. And then they go Facebook Live and I'm there, okay? So I am a weather geek. I love the weather, okay? My ideal would be a six level tornado, okay, on the 6 scale, and nobody get hurt and nothing gets torn up, but it shows up and it kind of circles and shows us how cool it is. And I'm a weather geek, that's all I can say. But so the display of data, to me, these weather people, what they do is incredible. How many of you watch the weather here in Oklahoma City? Anybody watch K4? Watch Emily? I like Emily. She likes dogs, and her favorite thing is she say, if the weather's nice, she says, "Let's go fishing." I like that. That's style. It's class. Maybe. All right. So Anscombe's quartet should give us some real food for thought in talking about how we display data. Now, this is important because early in your career, you'll probably be producing some data, drawing them from a database, maybe working in a spreadsheet. But later on in your career, you'll have data presented to you, and it will be up to you to be able to ferret out what looks good, what doesn't, what makes sense, what doesn't, what is the shape of the distribution pattern, how does it look, okay? And so we'll talk a lot about that in the course. So we have these files, and we'll get out of here and we'll go back to the modules for just a second. And again, here's all the information, data, files that we're going to be used, etc. And we'll talk about those as we move on. So now, you've stayed with me for about an hour, and I think I want to take about 10, maybe 15 minutes more, okay? And then I'm going to give an invitation, and someone will come forward, and then we'll take up an offering. I'm kidding. How many of you grew up in Southern Baptist Church, Evangelical Church? Okay. Do you have altar call now? They still have that? They do at my church. We had a preacher that wouldn't shut up. And so, where I grew up, and so what we did is we had a high sign, and that is one of us would make the sign, because number one, we wanted to get to lunch, number two, we didn't want to miss the Cowboys football game, because in those days, the Cowboys were good. They weren't such a tease as they are now. And they get to the playoffs, and we're going, you're going all the way. And then you get beat 10-0, and somebody throws 9 interceptions. No more of that. So we'd have the high sign. So one of us would go down and make a decision. Just like they do at Falls Creek. Even at Falls Creek, they have you crowd you in there. And then someone comes down. And that's wonderful. My big fear was I would go down and I would accidentally commit to be a missionary. So I had to make sure. My mother said, they call it rededicating your life in those days. I don't know what they call it now. But my mother would say, "Are you okay?" I go, "Yeah." But that's how we got the service stopped. There were a lot of those delightful things. I was here for 2 years, and then I transferred out. I left on fairly decent terms with the university after I became involved in a pyrotechnic event that went awry. It really wasn't my fault. And my parents said, if you've got time to do that, you have time to get a job. A job. So I paid for the rest of my school. I worked, took a class at a time. The rest is history. Okay, so we've done our look-see at the course. Now, when I do the second screencast, part 2, I'm going to focus on this XLS3, and I'm going to do a preview of it. And I'm going to spend some time talking with you about how this thing's put together. Now, the Holy Grail is an application that has all of the features of Excel and all of the features of a database, and now the ability to add in geospatial data. Okay, and I've always been a geography nut and a weather nut, and I've spent a lot of time taking a lot of courses on mapping and geospatial data and geographic information systems. And I think we have maybe 1 or 2 simplistic kinds of things in here. But I want to show you something real quickly, and then we'll call it a night. Go into your search bar and let's do a quick search on Esri tapestry. Okay, and let's find the zip lookup. Okay, and I'll learn more. I'll accept the cookies. Now I'm going to explore my neighborhood, okay? And they're going to ask me to put in a zip code, all right? And we'll grab that in there for a sec. Where is that at? Oh, up here?
No.
Oh, okay. Get more up here. Start exploring. Oh, here he is. Got it. Yeah, thank you. All right, now I'm going to enter. Now, before you enter your zip code, I want to show you how, with the advent of geographic information systems, for example, which is nothing more than another database, that we can see some things about the world around us. A business can see some things about the world around them that they couldn't see or may not have perceived. And you can see they've got population diversity, age, credit card charges, online banking. This tool is so good that every year they have a challenge where they will ask someone to say, okay, give me a transaction. Somebody bought $10 worth of gas in Boise, Idaho. Tell me everything about them. And they find them, and they get everything about them. The most famous story is about the use of databases and these tools is a young lady who went into Google or a search engine. You may have heard this. It's not an urban legend. It actually happened. And she started searching for things for someone who was expecting. And her parents start getting these emails and pop-up banners for stuff like baby formula, diapers, and the rest is history. So they knew. On a very serious note, when the tornado hit Moore in 2013, our church kind of became the triage station. And my wife works up there, and I went up there and helped out dealing with some of their inbound logistics of stuff, and also repatriation of people. People would be calling, going, my sister lived on 11th Street. I haven't heard from her. Where's she at? That kind of stuff. But it was fascinating to me because when the first people out were the people from FEMA, the second people out were the people from the Oklahoma Southern Baptist, the disaster relief people. And the people from FEMA said, call this number. And we called a number at Walmart, and they said, we've got trucks are on the way. Here's what you're going to need. Day 1, day 2, day 3, they had, because they've been through it. And they couldn't have done that if they didn't have those tools. Well, I'm going to put in 73160. At one time, I was a proud moron, but I've been made I have been made a honorary moron because I live there. Now, this will show you all of the different zip codes. And as you scroll down there, this is a marketer's dream. What's the median income? The population density, the median age, all kinds of data about these different zip codes. And in addition to that, they'll give me what they call the major segments, okay, or types of folks that live in this area. This is a free tool that people can use, and it's just unbelievably, it's laid out well. It provides me all the baseline data I'd want if I'm a marketer, or I'm trying to understand a particular area, or I'm trying to understand if I want to cater to a certain clientele. And so they give you that. Now, here's one. And we have people, the home improvement people. We have the Middleburgs. We have upcoming families, and they'll give you an explanation of each of those. And you can click then in another and get the data for that. Just fantastic stuff. So I would encourage you, that's one of those places, again, I would really encourage you to take a look at. And they have some online mapping tools that are free and available. You just register. They have a free tool, then they have one that's free, but you have to register. It's a little bit better with an organization. Okay. So we've walked through a lot of information, okay? It's about 7:15, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to call tonight, and I'm going to save this screencast that I'm making now, and then I'll post it. I'll convert it to a YouTube file, and I'll post it over here in announcements. And then between now and next week, I'll do part 2, and I'll focus on this XLS3. Now, if you're curious and you want to take a look at it a little bit tonight, you certainly can do that. Okay? And if you want to find that file, you can go over here into the files area, not syllabus, excuse me, and you can do XLS3. And we'll download it. And we'll open it up. And I'll show you the file. If they're going to be nice and let me pop this off here for a minute. I want to download this. Show in folder. There we go. Hang on a sec. All right. There's no open office. All right, here we go. Yeah, here's somewhere. Up. Oh, I forgot. I don't have the files enabled for us to do that. All right. Now, one final piece, and it's this. Everybody's logged into Canvas, right? In your machines. Okay. On the top left hand, okay, see if you have a thing that's called VMware. You have that? It should be up in the top left corner. It's called VMware. My screen's not going to look different because you're working on one of those. I'm in here on this. You see it? It will be called, it's VMware. It's a kind of a green looking thing up in the left hand corner. Is it there? Anybody find it? Okay, let's take a look here for you just a second. There you go. Now, yeah, click that, and it should give you a link up to VMware, which is the cloud application. Can you get through? Was it giving you a server disconnected? Okay. All right. And I want to open up my Excel file. Weird. I don't want that. I have not signed up for this. Okay. Have any of you been able to get through the VMware? They still haven't fixed the server. Okay. Well, hopefully they'll have it ready to go on Monday. They said they would work on it. So let's call it a night. And what I will do is I'll end the recording and then I'll post it over there. All right? So I don't want an Xbox thing at all. Thank you much, folks. And hopefully they'll have this ready for us. Yes.
Are we going to need any access codes with our textbooks, or is everything we're going to need on campus?
If you should, I don't think you'll need any access codes. If I'm not mistaken, I've loaded all the, I've gone to the companion sites and I have all the files loaded in over here.
Sounds great.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
You betcha. Yes, sir.
So I was curious if you got an email from the dean's secretary about the letter I had to sign for me to be in your IS.
Okay, I signed it and returned it down. I signed it and turned it and gave it to the dean.
So you did receive it, awesome.
Yeah. I got the letter, it was in my box, I signed it and gave it back to the dean.
Okay.
So you should be able, and I took all of the, I took away all the overrides, so you should be able to enroll in it now.
Let me check it right here.
Yeah. Oh, mercy.
What is the prerequisite for that class?
For 3603, is that the one you're talking about? You need to have stat, junior standing, if I'm not mistaken. I think you had to have, then to have stat, of course, you have to have had college algebra and business calc.
Okay, business calc.
Yeah, but I did the prerequisite overrides and all that business. I'm not sure that it's that necessary that you have the business calc. I think the statistics is important if you've had that.
Yes.
The college algebra, negligible value. And let's see.
And this is the Monday, Wednesday class.
Yeah, right. The Monday, 11 o'clock to 12:15.
See, this one's showing the 2 o'clock, so 3:15.
Okay. Were you going to take management 3603 or the 3503? Okay. Well, that's the one you're wanting to enroll in.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, well, let's do this. I'll just go over to Banner for a sec. Let me mute this. There we go. I can go over here and get you. I thought you wanted in management science.
See, the one, I can't remember the name. All I know is when Dr. Craig and I talked, it was the 2 to 3.
2 to 3:15. All right. Okay.
I may have accidentally wrote it wrong.
Okay. Okay. How's the share? It's not the share. And then